We've arrived back at the dealership. Today's the day I pick up my car. So the total cost of this car was now I need to find a spot to park in the shade so that we can actually chat. We've arrived back at the dealership. Today's the day I pick up my car. I don't know why I'm feeling like nervous, not really excited. Just like I'm nervous. I don't know. I feel like I'm scared something's gonna go wrong and that they're not gonna be able to like give me the car or something, and it's kind of far away, but I guess I'm just being negative. But the story is that today's a holiday. I completely forgot that it was a holiday and I didn't really prepare. Like I was supposed to go get a bank draft and fix my bank account limits and all of that, and I didn't. So we're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna put some of it on credit and some of it on my debit card and some of it cash and some of it on Jean's debit card. So I'm just hoping that everything works out and I'm able to drive away with the car today. And it's also the first time that I'm getting a car like from a dealership, because remember, Jean, last time I got my car, it's Mary who drove it over from Ottawa. She's the one who picked it up from my cousins.
So true, yeah.
So I've never had the experience of like really going and like buying the car and like, so it's the first time for that. So a little bit nervous, but that's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. So let's go. Let's go buy a car.
What a fun time.
I was about to be like, do you think they take cash envelopes? When I was looking for my cash envelopes, you guys were on them. So let's go. It's there? Wow.
To the window.
There it is. Look, the Volkswagen's like right in the center of you, the logo, through the window. Hello guys! I am so happy. You guys, okay, this was me before going into the dealership. Like, I'm so excited to get my new car. You guys, I was so stressed. I don't know why. I was so stressed. But now I am relieved. I am happy. I am grateful. I am on a cloud because yes, this is my car. I love it. I love the beige. The outside, yeah, it's 9 years old. She's 9 years old. Someone asked me what I was gonna name her. I'll tell you guys right now before we get into the Q&A. Pearl, Black Pearl is gonna be her name, Pearly Tiguan. My old one was Trixie, like the drag queen. Anyways, yes, I'm really, really just like, it feels so good. I feel so relieved. I just drove like 5 minutes over from the dealership to go to the grocery store, put on my favorite podcast, and I was just like, oh, this is such a nice feeling. And yeah, I don't know, the same feeling that I had in my old car, just like that feeling of freedom and feeling proud of myself. I feel it all over again with, you know, a hint of vanilla. So that's really nice. We've got the winter tires in the back, and honestly, there's not that much more to say. Tomorrow, I want to go through the drive-thru, maybe get a car wash, and we will sit and do a Q&A together. I will answer all of your questions that you gave me on Instagram and in my last vlog, just about car shopping and buying a car and that whole experience, because I hope that maybe it's interesting, maybe it's helpful. That is what I'm hoping for. We are going to need to park in the shade wherever we go tomorrow because it's hot. So I'm so happy and excited. I will see you guys tomorrow for the rest of this video. Okay, I'm back again. It's just so funny noticing like little differences between my previous car and this car because they're the same year, but I think this is 1 year older but more luxurious. But then like it's like mine was like a 2015 made in 2015 and this is a 2015 made in 2014. That's JS's theory. I don't know. The two biggest differences that I'm noticing so far are that this one I have to put the keys in and like turn on the car, where my other one was push to start, which the little keychain dangles and tickles my knee while I drive, which I'm not used to. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to be careful with whatever like size of keychain that I get so that it doesn't like bother me while I'm driving. The other thing is my old car, I used to be able to press on the handle to lock the car. So instead of having to press the button on the key, I could lock or unlock the car by touching the handle, which was nice. And I think I'm gonna miss that, but everything that I don't like, I'm like, it's like, oh, the beige seats. So you can't, with a budget like mine, you can't have it all. And that's just the way it is. And now I will really see you tomorrow, where we will talk about budget and paying for this thing and how much should you pay and what should you be looking for and blah, 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 blah. All of that. More to come tomorrow. If I can stop talking ever. Okay, bye. Bye. It's just one night. It's just goodbye. Hello again. So I wanted to take my car for a nice drive, get used to it so that I can give you guys kind of like my initial thoughts, because even though it's the same car, I mean, mechanics and things can probably differ from car to car. Almost everything is the same, but I will say this car feels a lot smoother and actually in better like driving shape than my old one. My old one would make a little bit of noises, a little bit of squeaks, and this one, no sounds, really smooth. I'm loving it. It feels so bright and cheery. I'm never gonna shut up about these seats. I love it. It's a really hot day today. I brought a bunch of water and I brought a little cup. Maggie's in the back to give her water, but I forgot that I put chlorophyll in this, and I don't know if dogs can have chlorophyll, but it's okay. We're gonna go grab a coffee and I'll get some water for her. So I wanted to make it something fun, extra special for this vlog that also gave me a purpose to like drive somewhere. So we're at Krispy Kreme, okay? We're at Krispy Kreme. We're gonna go through the drive-thru, grab a coffee, and then we will chat car Q&A style. So let's go. It's 2 p.m. We're getting coffee, Krispy Kreme. There's something about going through like a coffee drive-thru that just feels so American to me, because it's not, I mean, of course, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of people like standing at the drive-thru. They're gonna think I'm a freak, whatever, who cares? Is this guy walking? Oh no, he's an employee. I thought he was walking through the drive-thru. Hello. Oui, allô. Je vais prendre 3 beignets, s'il vous plaît. Un instant, je vais me rapprocher parce que j'entends vraiment rien. Ok, je m'excuse, on peut réessayer. Oui, je vais prendre un latte glacé petit format, s'il vous plaît. Est-ce que je peux avoir un verre d'eau aussi? Ok, merci. He's gonna be like, what's wrong with you? I have like my camera and like my mic. Merci. Now I need to find a spot to park in the shade so that we can actually chat and not overheat or have my dog overheat. All right, so I have pulled over into the back alley of a Value Village. It's the only place I could find shade, and it's still really hot in here. So I have the AC going. You might hear it, but it is gonna be what it is gonna be. Before we get into the Q&A, I wanted to do a little car haul of just like some kind of necessities that I bought yesterday at the dollar store. This cord I already had. It was in my old car. It's just a phone charging cord. I feel like that's important to have just for your GPS and for safety reasons as well. But what was in my old car that I didn't take is the thing to charge. So this is an older car. It doesn't have USB ports, which means you need some kind of adapter. I bought this for $4 at the dollar store, and it has 2 USB slots. So this just plugs in to the cigarette lighter, which I feel like it's an option now for newer cars. Like if you smoke, you can get the cigarette lighter, but I feel like most newer cars don't have that. This one has 2 spots for the cigarette lighter. There's one in here, and then there's one at the front. I'm gonna try using this one because I feel like it's gonna keep the front a little bit more clean. Yeah, okay, so that works. And then I can plug this in and plug in my phone. Ching! Charging. And then I can just shove it in there, or the cord is long enough to have it pass out. Now, I also from the dollar store bought another cord. Where is it? Here. This is a USB to micro USB, and I actually bought this to charge my camera for if I'm like vlogging on the go like I am today. It doesn't actually charge for my big camera, which I'm currently filming on, but this one holds battery like way better than my small camera. So this is to charge my small camera on the go. I figured it was just good to have. So I'll take this out of the package later. I bought a box of tissues. These are just good to have in case you spill something or you're eating in the car. They're more cleanly contained, a box of tissues, than like loose napkins everywhere. So I just bought this. Someone with a dirty mind is gonna be like, oh, Kleenex. Or maybe it's just me. It's for the hands. Also for the hands, and just in case you spill anything, like when I'm driving to Ottawa, if I get a snack on the road, it's happened to me before where like I'll get chips and then my hands are all greasy and I'm touching everything in the car, and it drives me insane. So that's why I want to have some tissues. And I also got some wet wipes. This can also be like if you spill something on the seat, you can wipe it up right away. I am going to be such a freak for protecting and preserving these beige seats and keeping them clean. The guy who had this before me, he must not have had kids, because I haven't fully seen the back because it's covered with the winter tires, but these seats are pristine. So yeah, these are just some wipes for hands and face in this little carry case. These were $2.50. And that's all I got. I'm not a huge, like, we see those like car restocking videos on Amazon. I'm not that girl. Sometimes I wish I was, of like having a car emergency kit, but at the end of the day, I don't know. Like, you guys let me know. Do you have like a car emergency kit? What do you keep in it? Because I feel like a lot of that stuff is maybe a bit unnecessary. Maybe I could go for like a hand sanitizer, but I don't know. So these I'm gonna just put in the glove compartment. So let's talk about the price of this car. This car cost me, I'll tell you the exact amount. So the total cost of this car, including tax and including an extra insurance option that I took, was $15,494. This, if we go back to my manifestation story time, is so crazy because insurance gave me $15,500 to get a new car. So this was $6 less than what insurance gave me, which is insane. That is why I took the extra insurance. The extra insurance was $998, and I took the extra insurance because I was like, I have the money from insurance. Otherwise, I'm gonna just put it into a savings account. I may as well just have the extra insurance. It is an older car. When you buy from a dealership, this was a question that I got asked quite a bit, is how do you know it's safe? Do you need to get it inspected? When you buy from a licensed, certified dealership, you do not need to get it inspected. The dealership is legally required to give you any car, no matter the year, up to safety standards. So this car had a crack in the front windshield. Not even a crack, like a little nick, like a rock hit it. But that is considered unsafe to drive, which means that the dealership has to fix it for me before I can take possession of the car. So I noticed the ding and I said to them, like, you have to fix this before you give it to me. And they were like, yes, that is our responsibility. anything aesthetic, so scratches on the side, there's certain things that go above and beyond safety that is not covered by the dealership. So what they explained to me was with this insurance, and I'll tell you guys, the guy was speaking like we were in like not rural Quebec, but like outside of Montreal, where I'm not so used to that accent, and the guy was speaking so fast. I just looked at JS and I was like, can you please translate? Like, he was speaking so fast. So he was explaining that if I take this extra insurance, they will fix a lot of the scratches on the outside, and I'm covered for 1 year for things above and beyond the safety. So of course this guy's just trying to sell stuff, but JS recommended that I do take it since I have the money. And I'm gonna be honest, I just blindly listened to JS because I had such a hard time understanding this guy. Like his French was on another level and not my level. So to summarize, I spent the extra $1,000, which is embedded in that cost of $15,494 that I just mentioned. Then I had to pay a $135 fee to get license plates on this car. So that is a fee that goes to like the SAAQ, which is the Quebec car government body that takes care of the license plate. So that is the fee for the license plate, which was $135. So that is the only amount that I was out of pocket in this scenario, because the whole car plus that insurance ended up being covered by my insurance because my previous car was wrecked. So I'm really, really happy with this outcome. Like I had said in the last video, I was prepared to spend a little bit of my own money and a little bit of money, you know, from my savings to get the perfect car, but I'm so happy I was able to find the perfect car without having to dip into my savings. So I'm so thankful. So I'll tell you guys, the amount of kilometers on this car is 114,113, which is actually less than the amount of kilometers that I had on my previous car. So in terms of years, it's the same year, if not a little bit older for this one. But in terms of kilometers and usage of the car, this car is actually newer than my old car. The last thing I'll tell you guys is before tax, so the listing price that I saw on the website for this car was $12,488. So I live in Quebec. There is about 15% taxes on top of that number, and then the insurance, like I said. So this was listed at $12,488 Canadian. And that's it. It's a 2015 Volkswagen Tiguan 4-cylinder. It also only had one owner prior to me, and I know the guy's name because all of his iPhones were stored in the Bluetooth, and it's never been in an accident. So that gives me a lot of peace of mind, just knowing that it was one person who clearly took incredible care of this car for the past 9 years. And I love that. That just gives me peace of mind. That is information that is in the Carfax history. I don't know if that differs from country to country, but you should be able to ask either the individual or the person or the dealership that you're buying from to see the car's history, see if it's ever been in an accident, see how many owners it's had, because this will impact the state of the car and it might impact the price, and it's just good for you to know. I'm cutting the AC for a little bit because I'm scared that the car battery is gonna die. Let's get into the Q&A. I'm gonna start with the questions that I got on YouTube, then we'll move over to Instagram. So the first question is, why not a 5K or a 10K car and invest the difference? So great question. I wasn't really considering a cheaper car than what insurance gave me, just because cars are so expensive nowadays. And I also think when we're talking in such large numbers like this, it's important for, I feel like I have a lot of American viewers, and I feel like sometimes Americans can forget that between Canadian dollars and American dollars, there is a big difference. So 10K in the United States versus 10K in Canada are really different. 10K US is a lot more than 10K Canadian. So I'll tell you guys, actually, this is insane, you guys. So 15,000 Canadian is 10,953 US. So that is a huge difference. So I think some people were, when I posted like a TikTok about this car, people were like, you got ripped off because I said it was 15K, but 15K Canadian is about 11K US. So that's a huge difference that people need to keep in mind. And I think a lot of Americans, when they're watching Canadians, they forget that there's that difference. I don't want to speak, I don't want to make too grand of a statement, but good luck finding a car in Canada for less than $12,000 that is running well. Like, I don't know if it exists. I did not see anything like that in my searches. Certainly not for $5,000, maybe for 5,000 US, but that's a different story. I'm a little bit of a nervous driver, and it is so important for me to feel safe in my car. Like, above all, it is so important that I feel safe. So yes, if you get a smaller car, you will save money. There's less car to buy, so they cost less. But I just feel safer in a little bit of a bigger car. I know in Europe, like, this is a massive car for European standards. This is a small SUV for North Americans. And I think for me, it's a really great compromise because I do feel safer in it. It's also nice and practical because I can put my dog in the back. I can have friends sit in the back. I like to ski, so I can easily throw my skis in there. So for me, it's just the right size. If I had gone smaller, if I had gone for like a 2-door car, then I could have saved a lot of money. You can also save a lot of money if you buy a manual car, but I don't know how to drive manual. And also, just in case of emergencies, like let's say you're doing a road trip with your friends and you have a manual car, but none of your friends know how to drive manual. God forbid something happens to you, your friends need to be able to drive the car home. So these are all considerations when I think about safety that impacted my choice and basically are why I spent a little bit more money. It definitely would have been nice to take this as an opportunity to like gain leverage and take that money from insurance and invest it, but it was just more important to me that I have a car that feels comfortable and safe. And by all means, I definitely don't think that I like balled out or anything. Like, I spent what insurance gave me pretty much to the dollar. This is a question that I got a lot. Do you get the car inspected by a third party, or do you take the dealer's word that it is all good? So you need to be buying from a dealer that you trust, ideally one where you've visited there a few times or you know someone who's bought from there. Like, I think word of mouth is the best. In Canada or in Quebec, when you're buying from a dealer, like I just talked about, they do have by law to do that safety inspection. So no, I did not get this third party inspected. If you're buying from an individual, that's another way. You can save a lot of money by buying from an individual, let's say on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or, you know, some marketplace like that. But you need to go with that person and take the car to a garage, to a mechanic, to have it inspected, because you do not want to be getting ripped off. Like, your safety in a car is just so important, so don't take any chances with that. I know it can sound awkward. It's like, how does that even work? But if you don't feel comfortable, you just say, like, I want to get this car inspected. And if they give you a hard time, like, that's not the car for you. So from a dealership, make sure it's a reputable one. We've all heard horror stories of dealerships putting too much pressure on someone, making you feel uncomfortable, making you feel like you need to make a decision on the spot. You want to avoid dealerships like that. If you go in and they're trying to make you leave with a car right away, like just leave without the car. There are a lot of cars out there, so you can be patient and find a place that you trust. And then if it's an individual, make sure you get it inspected. This made me laugh, and I'm gonna read it pretty much as the question was written out. 15 grand for a car that's almost 10 years old. No way. Why not get a newer, different brand? I think this is someone in the US thinking that I'm spending 15 American dollars, not Canadian dollars. But for 15 grand Canadian, you are not getting a SUV with Bluetooth and a sunroof and leather seats for 5 years old. You're just not. It doesn't exist. Your car is like almost like an extension of your home. You're gonna spend so much time here. For me, buying used leather seats, I think these are like a vegan leather, like a pleather, but non-cloth seats were really important to me because I test drove one car with cloth seats that like I actually would have bought. It was very, very clean, but there were so many that I saw in the photos that like there were stains on the cloth, and like, I don't know, I could just picture it smelling like cigarettes, and I just wanted to stay away from that. So I was willing to, you know, have a little bit of an older car to have the leather seats, and the sunroof just makes a really nice driving experience. Same thing with the Bluetooth. And what was also really important to me here in Canada is heated seats, because it gets really cold. So for me, I'm willing to either pay a little bit more for those things, but more specifically go down in years. So buy an older car that has more bells and whistles that matter to me. The other thing is Volkswagens do hold their value pretty well. So that's also why an older Volkswagen is more expensive. So yeah, it might be a no way for you, but that's why I bought this car, not you. And yeah, everyone's choice is their own choice. Everyone has the brands that they care about and the features that they care about. Like, I saw a comment from someone who said that they would much rather have a newer car from maybe a less luxurious brand because they like all the tech. And it's like, yeah, if that's what you like that's perfect. Personally, I don't really care about the tech. I get really distracted by the beeps and I don't, care about the screen and stuff. So I'm happy to go a little bit older. It's just all about what you like and what you can afford and kind of finding that balance for you. Let's move over to Instagram. This question is from Liv. She said, what was your budget? So like I said, I had $15,500 from insurance and I was willing to put up to $5,000 of my own money, which would have brought my budget to $20,500. And honestly, there was not that much out there that appealed to me at that price, which is why I'm so shocked that I got this car for this price. But I do think when you're shopping for a car, setting a budget is really important because otherwise it's just so easy to get distracted and like not know what to do, not know what to spend. So have a budget or like a range and kind of anchor yourself to that. And I believe in manifestation, so I think from there you can really find the car that's perfect for you. You just need to be a little bit patient if you want to stick to your budget. Also from Liv, she said, what mileage do you look for in a used car? This is going to depend on how old the car is. I told you guys this car has about 114,000 kilometers on it. I was looking for something around the mileage that my old car had or less. JS was like, do not get more, because basically the more mileage the car has, the more used it is, which means the more it's prone to having mechanical issues, needing repairs, breaking down, stuff like that. It's really interesting because there were like really newer Tiguans, like 2020 Tiguans that had such high mileage on it that were around the same price as this one, or that were in my price range. But JS was like, do not buy it. It's a recipe for disaster when you have that high of a mileage. And I'll be honest, the whole mileage thing, it's a little bit over my head when it comes to car stuff. Like I'm really not an expert, but I do feel like from this experience, I learned quite a bit. So it all depends on the year of the car. And if something is like a 2020 with 200 kilometers on it, like don't even go near it. From Nicole, how do you know if it's a good deal? So this is going to be a factor of, you're panting, but you don't want water. Drink. Good girl. Good girl. This is going to be a combination of the year, the mileage, the state of the car, the brand, the features as well, because within a brand, within a model, you're going to have add-ons, bells and whistles, things like heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel. Pretty much all cars now have Bluetooth and a backup cam, but like a sunroof is an option. So all of these things are basically going to make a formula. But yeah, if you're not super into cars, it can be really hard to know what's a good deal or not, which is why I recommend scouring sites like AutoTrader or whatever like car listing website is in your area, your country, your city, because you'll be able to compare. You're going to start to get familiar with, okay, a 2015 Tiguan with these bells and whistles, you're going to see they're usually going for around the same price. So a lot of my searching was from Tiguans from like 2014 to 2020. And from there, you start to see patterns and a lot of similarities in the price. Different dealerships will be selling them for about the same price. So you'll start to know, okay, this is like the standard price for this make, this model, this year. You'll be able to see if one is a lot lower, one is a lot higher. And then hopefully from there, what you'll be able to do is like spot a good deal. That's what happened with me, is I started to get an idea. This is the general price for a Tiguan of that year. And then when I saw one at 12, that was looking really good. I was like, okay, that's a good deal. It wasn't so much lower than the other ones that I was like, okay, what's wrong with it? And it had these nice seats to kind of differentiate it. From Jennifer, she said, how did you figure out the car cost you could afford? So this is going to depend on the individual. I was basically looking at what insurance gave me. Plus, I was thinking if I were to have to drain half of my emergency fund, so my emergency fund is currently at $10,000, so about $5,000 max, I figured like that's what I can afford. So that's how I set my budget. You might be willing to take on a little bit of debt, or you might be willing to, maybe you want to lease a car. Look at what the monthly payments would be. Look at your monthly budget, how much you make, how much you spend. And you'll be able to get a sense of the monthly payment. I had to turn the AC back on. But you'll be able to get a sense of the monthly payments that you can afford. Or if you want to pay all cash, look at your savings, look how much money you have, how much do you feel comfortable spending. Cars are really, really expensive. Like new cars are in the like $60,000 range. And most of us, we don't have that in cash. So I would just say you need to think about what you feel comfortable with. If you're not passionate about cars and cars are not like your hobby, you don't need the fanciest car. You don't need to, drive a Range Rover, a Porsche. if that's not important to you. And if it is, you can make room in your budget for that. But think about what's important to you. Think about what brands you like. Do your research by looking around and looking at the type of cars. Like, oh, what looks nice? What do you think you would like to drive? And also looking online at what the prices are. And from there, you're going to start to get an idea of what you want, how much it costs, and you'll be able to see if you can afford it. Nariman asked, highly interested in which brands to go to. Which one is better, finance or lease? So for the brands, I love talking about this because it's like the marketing girl inside of me just lights up. I don't think there are any bad brands. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there are any bad brands. Like, the cars are subject to so many regulations, so much safety testing. Like, I don't think there are bad brands out there. Actually, from what I've heard, the worst brands in terms of like maintenance and repair are actually BMW and Mini Cooper. That's what I heard. But it's so fascinating to me which brands attract which people and which characteristics. Like, when you say Subaru, I think of a couple who love hiking and being outside. You know, they're kind of naturey, like a little bit granola. Like, to me, that's what I think of when I think of Subaru. When I think of Range Rover, I think of people who don't know how to drive. Like, these are the associations I have with certain brands. When I think of Honda, I think of all the boys I went to high school with. When I think of Volkswagen, I think of cute girls, city girls. And obviously it's not to say like only those types of people can have those cars, but you know, which brands do you feel called to? Which brands do you identify with? Hyundai, apparently I say it wrong. I feel like that brand is really doing a good job at like, that is like a brand that I feel like caters to everyone, and their cars they're known for like stable, good quality, safe cars. So I feel like if you're a car newbie, like maybe that's a brand you want to go towards. And then people have like their hate on for certain brands. Like, a lot of people hate Volkswagen. They say it's so expensive to maintain. But then the other side of that is you don't need to do a lot of maintenance on them. So when you do, it's expensive, but it happens more rarely. But yeah, I can't tell you like which brand to go for, but I do really recommend testing a lot of different brands. Like, the first car you test, you're going to be like, okay, it's good. It's when you test multiple brands and multiple models that you're going to start to see the difference, and you'll see what you like best. Now, in terms of leasing and financing, the main difference is that at the end of financing, you own the car is yours. At the end of a lease, you have to give back the car. Now, a lot of people say leasing is an absolute waste of money. They say it's a bad idea, but for some people in some situations, maybe it just makes sense. I honestly don't know enough about it to say. Personally, I think I could actually see, people are gonna get mad at me, but I could actually see myself leasing a car because you don't have as much commitment. You can lease a car for 3 years and then you're done with it. You're not worrying about the maintenance after 3 years. You're not worrying about, am I still gonna like it after 3 years, about having to sell it. And I can see how that could be very appealing. My first car, I financed it. I had to get a loan. I got a loan through the bank. I didn't do financing through the car dealership. And a lot of these car dealerships really do make their money through financing. So that's something to consider as well. I would say you could shop around between leasing and financing, see what's going to cost you more money, and think, is this the type of car that I want to end up owning? Or is this the type of car, maybe let's say you're really young and you know, like in a few years, you're going to start a family. Maybe you just want to lease like a fun car for a few years, and then you're going to buy your family car, your minivan or whatever, and move on with your life. Like, I think it all really, really depends. From Sari, she asked, how did you end up at a dealership getting a secondhand car? So great question. A lot of dealerships will carry secondhand cars. I think it's because they offer a trade-in. So that is how I got this car. This person must have bought this car like 9 years ago from this dealership, and they were ready for an upgrade. So they traded in this old car, which means they give it back to the dealership to get a discount on the new car that they're getting. And then the dealership sells this car. That is how I got it. There are also dealerships that specialize just in used cars. My cousins own one called Global Auto Sales in Ottawa. Highly recommend. That's where I got my first Tiguan. The dealership that I went to seems to sell a lot of Volkswagens, both secondhand and brand new. From Layla, she said, why Tiguan again? So great question. I just really like this car. I only had it for 3 years, so it wasn't enough time for me to feel like I want something different, which I think explains why I bought it again. But I just loved it. I love the way it drives. I feel safe. It's fun to drive. Like, it accelerates quickly. I can go fast. It feels sturdy. It doesn't feel like a little toy that's gonna break. I have to be honest, when I was driving the rental Kona, it didn't feel as sturdy. Like, when you accelerate on the highway, it felt more like a toy. I got used to it after a few days and like it was totally fine. But when I got back in a Volkswagen, I was like, yes, like I like the power of it. I like that it feels a little bit luxurious without being a full-on luxury car. And I love the size of this Tiguan, which, just for reference, you guys, this is now considered a small SUV, which is actually the same size as the new Volkswagen Taos. The new Tiguans, they actually made them bigger here in North America. It's just the right size for me. I'm able to throw furniture in here. I'm able to throw my skis in here. Like I said, I'm able to throw my dog in here. So it's just a really good car for me. I do a lot of longer distances as well, where I feel like I want to be, you know, safe and comfortable on the highway. And I have to say, having been in an accident, the fact that my car was totaled and the airbags didn't even go off and my sister and I had not a scratch on us makes me trust this car for its safety. So I also felt confident getting it again, and knowing that if, God forbid, I were ever to be in another accident, I would at least feel safe. From Madeline, she said, would love to know how you found the experience the second time around. So this time around, good question. I was really lost the first time around and I didn't really know what I wanted. I was such a nervous driver because I was so new to driving, and I basically had told my cousins, the ones in Ottawa with the dealership, I was just like, find me a car. And I wasn't really in a rush for a car, so I was very patient. I let them do the work, and I asked them to find me a Golf, and they found me the brown Tiguan that I used to have, and I took it, and that was that. I remember when my cousin texted me a photo of the car and was like, this is your new car. I actually remember looking at the brown and being like, oh, I don't like it. Which it did grow on me, and I really grew to love that car, but I was pretty hands-off the first time around. I test drove a few different cars. I test drove actually a Mini Cooper and a Honda, a BMW, and then I ended up with the Tiguan. This time around, I was a lot more hands-on because I had to get a car. Getting to one of my jobs without a car is a real pain in the butt. I was taking an Uber. It was costing me a lot of money. So I was really feeling the crunch of like, okay, it's time to get a car. So they were looking for me, but I was also looking. So with it being a lot more hands-on, it was a little bit more stressful because, you know, you're seeing all these cars and some of them look gross and some of them you're like, oh my God, this much money for that. Like, look at the stain on the seat, like, ugh. But it was kind of fun as well to like go and be test driving. I feel like I learned a lot this time around, and it is really empowering, I think, especially as a woman, where cars are like maybe a more like male-centric universe, and you know, maybe people expect you to be like, me don't know what I want. Learning what I want and learning what I like and going to the dealerships and speaking with the people, it gives you like a new confidence, which I think is nice as well. So I had a good experience overall shopping for this car. I hope that I don't have to do it again for a little while though. From Alex, she said, do you need to haggle? Do you think as a woman they treat you differently? So I did not haggle. I think there are some situations where you can. This one, I just felt like it was priced very, very fairly, and I could kind of tell they weren't going to budge. There was another dealership where I went to where he just said like, this is the final price. Like, we don't negotiate on price. So I think if you're buying from an individual though, there is probably some room to negotiate. Like if you're buying off of Facebook Marketplace, maybe you take it to go get third-party inspected, and then you can say like, oh, there's this, there's that, and like you can probably lower the price a little bit. Do I feel like they treat you different as a woman? I think it's not about gender, luckily. Maybe there are some places where you're gonna go in and they're gonna be all macho and they're gonna treat you different. I did not experience that. I did have JS with me everywhere I went, but it was clear that the car was for me and I was in charge. He was just kind of like there on the side. And I didn't feel like they were treating me any different. I think where they will treat you different is if you seem like a wuss and you seem like a pushover. And that's regardless of gender. If you are like, I don't know what I want, I don't know how much I can afford, like you need to go in there being confident, because otherwise they're gonna upsell you on everything. You might end up paying too much for a car. They might, you know, they're gonna try and trick you into financing. Even if you have the cash, they make their money on financing, so they're gonna try and get you to finance. So you just have to be confident. I don't want anyone going in there being like, oh, I'm a girl, they're gonna treat me different. Like, shoulders back, head high, do all your research before you go in, and go in confidently. If anyone gives you a hard time, you leave and you go to the dealership down the street, because there's always another one. Okay, you guys, I think that is enough. We have been talking about cars for so long. I hope you enjoyed. I am going to stop talking now. I'm going to drive home. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and coming on this adventure with me. Oh my God, I just realized we didn't do a car tour. There ain't that much to see. I'll show you really quick. This is the driver's seat. This is the passenger seat covered in stuff. The seats are indeed gorgeous. There is my dog. The winter tires are still here and also in the trunk because I have nowhere to put them right now. This is the outside. And this is the trunk, which is pretty spacious, but yeah, you guys can see there are the 2 winter tires there. It doesn't fit skis like this, so I have to put the seat down when I put my skis, but it fits a lot. It's really great. It has this nice cover for security. It doesn't have like an automatic thing. You have to open it and close it yourself, which is like the one thing I could wish for. So that's that. Thank you guys so much for watching this car vlog. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.